Okay, it's day 5, or actually video 5. I've been at this many more days than 5, but I'm trying to put an order onto it because people have requested it. So I'm here ready to fly out of this area on my way back to the DC, Virginia area. And I just wanted to do a short video. I got a lot of comments yesterday asked me to speak, I guess, more broadly about the type of victims and survivors and even perpetrators that I'm dealing with, and really make the, I guess, emphasis that I'm not doing this to catch, like, what people see on TV or whatever, the perpetrator at the park scamming the children's playground. Those guys are pretty easy to catch, actually, and I've done that work before. What I'm doing is exposing a systematic government program or systematic government workers, cover-ups that involves things such as MKULTRA, and it's following different projects, and there's many different project names for it, and also how it's really turned into just a saturation. I consider it almost drowning the United States and the world, but the United States drowning in pedophilia and child trafficking that includes satanic or Luciferian worship. Not all of it includes that, but a lot of it does. And this is very dark, very evil stuff. And these people that I'm trying to expose, or at least, I guess, help the victims find their voice, and the witnesses and whistleblowers, they've been dealing with a system of corruption that is just so entrenched in our country that it's, that they've kind of gone on the run. A lot of them are in hiding all around our country from fear, from being targeted. A lot of them made their attempts to contact law enforcement. They made attempts to contact CPS and FBI and you name it, of an agency, and they were either throttled, in their cases kind of pushed away, or worst case scenario, they were sent into some sort of family court or some sort of system where the perpetrators actually got custody of the children, or if it wasn't a family member that was involved, which is most of the cases, it's a generational thing. So if it wasn't a family member that was involved, these kids are taken away from the protective parent and put into the some sort of social services program or orphanage or CPS, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of them get trafficked out of that, and the parent never gets custody of them again. And one of the reasons of that is because the corruption doesn't just lie with the lower level, workers and social workers and just lower level, even some lower level family courts. It goes up to the highest levels. And the more elite status you have and the more friends you have, the more connected you are, the more protected you are. And that really is the bottom line. And that's who we're dealing with here. These people have committed monstrous crimes. They still are. You've seen some of my videos where I've gone to several different locations where these crimes are allegedly being investigated, and I've made no headway whatsoever, even after leaving my name and number and things that put my life at risk. My life's already been at risk. I've already been targeted and threatened and assaulted. So I'm doing this for them, the ones that are in hiding, the ones that are scared. Not that I'm not, but I'm just determined to expose what I can, to give some hope where I can, to get some information and resources where I can, to gather evidence where I can, and to spread it out to enough people, good people that worked inside the system, some that worked outside, but people that have been targeted for trying to expose this, and spread out the information so that enough people have it, so that not one person can be stopped. It would take an army. So that's the work that I'm doing and being a part of. And another question that was asked yesterday was wanting to talk about kind of the signs and symptoms. And I think a lot of people know about many of the signs and symptoms that you would see, but the people I've interviewed this weekend talked about how once they realized kind of how deep this was and how much they had missed, they looked back in time and saw when the children were younger, pre-adolescence and even very young, just the not wanting to go with certain people, acting irrationally afraid, making offhanded comments that made no sense, becoming fascinated with things on television or video or computers that most children, young children, would have no real attention span or fascination with, because it's kind of beyond their developmental stage. And so they would notice those kinds of things, and also physical signs and symptoms, and physical, I want to be careful how I say this, but physical activity or physical touching and stuff that was inappropriate, and inappropriate in ways that are not within the norm of developmental psychology of children. And you have to really understand what that means to understand this. So they look back in time and could see a lot of those things. And so obviously that's some of the symptoms. And one of the biggest symptoms, though, is isolation. I mean, the child that is chosen, and whether it's by a familial relationship or by a group of people, they attempt to isolate that child and keep them from friends, keep them from normal activities, because obviously they don't want them to talk, but also for other reasons. They will act like that child is so precious and so perfect, and idolize the child and in front of other people, but keep them very isolated at other times. And so they often don't have a strong group of friends, or if they do have some friends, they're kept to friends that the perpetrating family member or perpetrator knows. So they're kind of kept within their own little circle, their own little environment. It's a very protected kind of a situation. And so that's some of the stuff that I was told, and some of the stuff obviously to watch out for. There's certain locations, obviously, and I'll get into that at some other point. There are very specific locations that should raise huge red flags. But, I just wanted to check out for today and say, it's been a good trip and agonizing emotionally, but I'm just out here doing my best, just one of many people trying to help. And I appreciate all your support that you guys give and comments, and please continue with the comments and asking questions. And I will check in later as I get back and start putting some of this work into action, as I have been. But the more that I gather, the more action I can take, and that's the goal. So checking out for now.